Colleen?
The meeting tonight is for the conduct of town business by the town board. The public is invited to participate at the items marked on the agenda, public comment. During that segment of the meeting, if you have a question or comment for the supervisor, please raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged. Please state your full name and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation.
Thank you, Colleen. I'd like to start the meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all our brave men and women fighting all over the world for democracy and freedom, and also for our first responders. Thank you. Need a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to approve minutes from the January 27th, 2020 Town Board meeting.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None being said, motion carried. Authorized payment of bills
Authorized to pay the bills.
in the amount of $1,843,933.18.
I guess we got to pay the bills.
So basically, why the large amount is because we paid 2 fire companies. We wrote checks for them, and also for the library in Milton, and also $114,000 for the items up at the all-inclusive playground. So it's a lot of big checks.
Just for a matter of record, we collected for them.
Yes, we did. Oh, no, we collected. We collected, and now we're distributing the money. Absolutely. So I need a motion to pay. I need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None being said, paying the bills. Comments on the agenda? None being had. No presentation. Let's start off with the report of the departments. Let me get my thing up here. Well, we could read it from the... Okay. Supervisor's report for February 2020. Met with Andrew Witt, Councilman Baker, and Gail Albert Jr. at the Milton Landing Park to discuss installation of the USGS gauge for monitoring the Hudson River. I met with Councilman Corcoran and Budget Director Chris Wilco on 41J retirement program for the Highway Department. Met with Todd McNutt to discuss town insurance needs. Are we okay?
No problem.
All right. Met with Marlborough Christian Hill Trail Group, Tony Falco, Councilman Baker, Steve Osborne, Matt Kirsten. The next day we met again to walk the trail.
How's Steve doing? I haven't seen him in years.
Let's not get into that.
Okay.
Okay. Moving right along, I had a meeting. He's doing well. Had a meeting with Town IT Committee, Gary Larzoff, Councilman Corcoran, Mr. Brooks, our IT guy, and Chief Kokoza. Attended the Ulster County meeting of the town supervisors in Kingston. Conference call with Councilman Corcoran and Town Attorney David Weiss on Highway Department contract. Met with Chief Kokoza and Frank Pastai. Is how you say it there, Chief? Pustai? Yeah, close enough. And this was an issue with the towing company. So we addressed that with Frank. Opened Tomvac building for installation of new gas-related hardware. Attended UC Legislature Richard Gerentine's retirement party in Kingston. Good time there. Met with UC Executive Representative Mark Ryder to discuss logistics for a mobile Ulster County office hours to be held in Marlborough in conjunction with the county executive visit on February 24th. Attended the UC Transportation Council meeting in Rosendale. Met with representatives from KDEM to discuss possible upgrades to Marlborough site. I met with the CO at his request, Shirley Ginsburg. They're actually holding off. They were supposed to come to the town board, but they're holding off. They want to make sure they get all their ducks in a row this time. So hopefully we could move forward on their plans. Yes, met with Rosemary and Jerry Wine about preparing priorities lists for the town's need for state legislature. Talking to James Scoofus, I put together our priorities, and I think I mailed one of them to you, was the Milton and Marlborough sewer plant. And then I moved down forward to the Milton Landing and so forth and so on. He wanted to thank me for that. He says I'm pretty persistent, but you know how it is. Met with Joe Freebound to sign proclamation for William Partington's Community Day of Remembrance on March 1st, 2 p.m. at the Veterans Memorial in front of the middle school. Attended Town Planning Board meeting, attended Milton Train Station Foundation Board meeting, attended Friends of the Milton Landing Board meeting. Respectfully, Alan. Instead of Tom Corcoran, a building inspector. Hi, Tom, how are you?
Oh, man, he's doing his report. 2 wisdom teeth.
You got the update on that, huh?
Building Inspector's Report, January 2020. Certificate of Occupancy 5, Request for Information 10, Building Extensions 4, Fire Inspections 9, Fire Calls 1, Stop Work Orders 1, Order to Remedy 11, Complaints 22, Burn Permits issued 27, Building Permits, Addition Renovation 1, Burn Permits 27, Deck Stairs 2, Electrical 2, Mobile Homes 2, Roofs 2, Sheds 2, Solar Panels 1, Tank Installation 1, Wood Pellet Stove 2. Estimated cost of building, $126,863. Monthly receipts, certificate of occupancy, $850. Permit extension, $734.50. Building permits, $1,757.60. Request for information, $1,000. Fire inspections, $515. Burn fees, $65 for a total income of $49,2210. Gas usage, 70 gallons. Total miles, 1181. Good.
Good.
That's, hey, you travel a lot, huh? That's because of all the hats you wear.
Just driving around town all day. I mean, you figure breaks down to $250 a week.
Yeah, that's right. So I keep on forgetting it's 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
It's a month, actually.
By the way, Mo took care of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chief. Yeah.
Look at you.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chief.
Activity summary for the month of January 2020. Motor vehicle accidents, personal injury 6, fatal 0, property damage accidents 12. The new system doesn't report accidents that don't require a report. We're working on getting that fixed. Hopefully we can get a subcategory that'll get that number back for us. Those are the type of accidents that we assist in, like exchanges, or they work it out civilly where we don't need to actually do a report. The old system allowed us for a way to denote that. The new system doesn't.
What's the system called?
This is New World. Yeah. And if you notice through the reports as you go through it, it tracks a whole lot more things. So when we get down to blotter activities and you see 1,085 blotter activities, those aren't actual complaints. That's everything. we track alarm calls, we track traffic stops now. Anything that we may do towards police activity generates a number, and that's that number you see there. So it's not like we're handling, you know, three times or four times the amount of complaints. It's just the new way the system tracks everything. It's a data collection base, so that's what it does. Total accidents for the month, 18. Summonses issued, vehicle and traffic, 128. Parking tickets, 52. Total blotter entries, 1,085, with a total of 13 arrests. Telephone calls handled, 1,769. Overtime is attached in the breakdown chart. Part-time dispatchers generated 88 hours overtime. Police mileage for the month, 13,424 miles, with a fuel consumption of 1,162.881 gallons. I got an email from DCJS in reference to the live scan grant. We're going to hope to know by the end of the month. They're doing an expeditious processing of the grant applications because they want full install and functionality by end of June. So they're not giving us much time. So we'll know right away. Well, we'll know by the end of the month if we were successful, and which is good because if I order it before April 30th, we get a $2,500 discount. So we'll even save more money, so which is really good. Other than that, I think we're good.
So, Chief, I didn't do a resolution on the 17 computers. I just want to let the board know. We were talking about that, and we would like to wait until the live scan money comes in and then buy the computers because we have a resolution for the 2 servers and the 2 firewalls, which comes to 17,000 something, which is over a budget of the 10,000. So once we get that money in, then we'll address the computers.
Okay.
Is that all right with the board?
As long as it doesn't get put on the shelf.
As soon as
No,
we,
it's not going to be.
I think as soon as we know he got the grant, then I think we should go
We push
forward.
forward. Right.
Not wait for the actual.
Right, and I should have some sort of an award letter,
If he
like I
knows
said,
in
by
a
the end of
couple of weeks,
February,
that would be good.
if we're successful.
I think, talking to the IT gentleman, Danny Brooks, that he's going to have his hands full once we order those 2
Yep.
you know, servers and the 2 firewalls. So
Yeah, and-
it probably coincide to when we get the, you know, we get the computers like within 2 days.
Yeah, it's not like Danny just unboxes them and plugs them in. There's a
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
lot of attrition that
It's
he
not
has
plug
to
and
do. No.
Well, he's gonna, what we're gonna try to do, Chief, too, is, and we may use him down here, we might
Yep.
do it upstairs, is we're gonna, when we get all those PCs, he's gonna wanna put them on 2 tables.
Yep. Him and I discussed
and
setting
do
them
it
up in
all
the boiler
one
room,
shot. Yeah,
because it's an easy shot right to
Yep.
the server, to run over the wall with the cord.
Yeah.
And we can set the tables and nobody will bother them down there and they
just
can
let
burn
them
in
all
and do whatever
run
they
and
gotta
get
do.
set up all in one shot.
Yep.
So,
So
then I'll bring them to everybody's workstation.
how you making out with the discovery and all?
We're moving forward with it. The county system failed, it doesn't work, so there will be no electronic transmissions for now. They don't know what's wrong with it. It works in Dutchess County, but it doesn't work here. So we've had to do a couple different things in order to get them some information they need in some of our larger cases. All the smaller cases, we're doing manual transfers, which means we make DVDs and stuff. We're going along with it. It's time consuming. It doesn't leave me a lot of time to do the other stuff I'm doing. We're making it work for now. It is what it is. It's not going to get any better. The bail reform that I think you're going to see is in terms of actual bail that the judges are going to be able to set. Right now, they really can't set any bail except for select few crimes. So I think when you see reform comes down, probably in June sometime, it's going to be that side, not the discovery side. I really don't see that changing at all.
We actually had a conversation with Assemblyman Jacobson,
Right.
and they are looking at different changes to the law, so that's moving forward.
There's been all kinds of demonstrations and meetings, and some senators have jumped on board, and obviously the governor's even changed his tune a little bit. They absolutely know it needs to be changed.
Just like,
so.
you know,
Huge backlash.
Yeah, so, and people are, I don't know that necessarily say that they are doing more crime, but there's definitely lack of remorse now, because literally you could just about do anything and walk away with a ticket. There's no more consequences of, you might go to jail because you did this.
You're gonna miss the weekend, you're gonna miss the weekend.
Nothing.
thanks,
No.
Chief.
The vehicle and traffic summonses?
Yes.
I see they almost, a little bit over doubled. Is
Yep. So we have 3 guys, Zambito, Merrick, and Hal DeGines, big V&T guys.
Yep.
The LPR's been reprogrammed, and in the the newest of the fleet, the old 201. Goes out on 2 shifts a day. Using LPRs like fish in a barrel. It blindly notifies you of various things, which usually end up in some sort of arrest and tickets. So they've been using that a lot. They've been doing well with that. The snow, or the 52 parking tickets are mostly snow ordinance stuff. You can attribute that to Officer Merrick running around on midnights just writing everybody tickets for everything.
Now,
We
that's-
have gotten some backlash on it.
I'm sure you're gonna get backlash, but I mean, that maybe they'll do the right thing now. The thing is that if the 52 tickets, and we've hardly had any storms, I mean, I'm sure
No, it's not just snow, not just the
Snow
snow.
related?
The problem with the snow-related stuff, the problem is it dictates a snow event. So if you're parked in the road and it snows out, you get a ticket because you can't. It works. It works. We've gotten backlash because people aren't happy about it because admittedly, for years, we've not issued parking tickets
Right.
unless it was something
Right, it says-
severe.
It says 0 last year, so I mean.
Right, so admittedly, we haven't really gone forward with parking tickets, but with all the issues in the village, we've
Mostly
been
in Marlborough,
mostly in Marlborough. We have done some in Milton.
on the little
See,
roads like.
it's very convenient, because as soon as there's a snow event, the law clearly says if you're parked on the pavement, you get a ticket. So some of the problems we're running into is, a lot of houses don't have driveways. And even though they've been parking on the side of the road, even with their 2 wheels off the side of the road, they're in violation. And Officer Merrick
they
is
can't
strict to
allow
the
it.
law, and he writes the tickets. People aren't happy about it. There's not a lot we can do about it. The law is the law.
Yeah, but it's almost impossible to drive in the small, to plow those.
Oh,
roads.
absolutely.
Church Street's a mess.
Right.
I used to plow the village.
Yep.
Yep.
So once we open the third municipal parking behind the market, it'll open up things. But we have to figure out how many cars are gonna be there. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, springtime.
people in Grand Street really have nowhere to go. That's one of the.
It's working though, but Harry used to have to go through there and hang on the airplane, so, and that road's messed up too, because if there's a fire, you can't get a fire truck down that road, somebody's gonna.
The Church Street, I mean, I drive up that every night, I mean, it's crazy.
Yep.
And in reference to, it's on the early one, Mr., how'd you say it?
Woodside.
Okay. He was a snow tow issue. His issue wasn't the fact that he got towed. His issue was a problem with some of the fees that were charged. That sparked a letter from myself and the supervisor's office to the tow companies to remind them of our fee schedule, which in turn sparked a request for a meeting, which we scheduled for February 27th, right? And we'll be meeting with, I'm assuming most of the tow companies. I've talked to a few that aren't interested in coming. So we'll listen to see what the tow companies have to say. Then that any of those suggestions will be vetted and brought to the town board, and then the town board ultimately make a decision whether they decide they want to change the fee schedule or not.
No, just for special, just for.
Certain things, yes.
And another thing, and a lot of the different companies, what they do is they still tow on Saturday, but they close for, they don't release cars until Monday morning.
Right.
And they're still open, I mean, they're there.
So our current law allows for no storage fee Monday through Friday if the car is retrieved within 24 hours. Weekends and holidays are exempt. So if your car gets towed on Saturday, the shop is open, most shops are open till noon time, thereabouts early afternoon. So they're entitled to the Saturday night storage, Sunday night storage, if they opt. The law allows, if they opt to send an employee in on Sunday, they don't get the storage, but they get a $75 fee
For the guy coming
for the guy coming in. If they opt not to send somebody in, they can't charge storage. That's one of the arguments that's going to come up in this meeting.
And I'll be honest with you, I mean, I've gotten a lot of the complaints, and a lot of the complaints even more than that. It'll be 5 to 5 on a Friday, or 10 to 5 on a Friday, and they'll say, well, we're closing down in 10 minutes, so we can't give you your car back. I mean, if you're open,
Well, if you can't get there by closing time, they're not going to wait.
no, but if they're before closing
Oh, and
time,
I don't disagree with you, I don't. The problem we come into,
it's only one
and like
place
this
to go.
particular complaint, the problem we came into is the owner of the vehicle had one story, and obviously the tow company had a secondary story. A disagreement as to whether he could or couldn't get his car on Sunday. So it's very hard for us to determine
It was
what really happened.
He said, she said.
Right. So I'm thinking if
He said, he said.
if the committee that meets with the tow companies feel that changes need to be made, that maybe the town would like to make some changes on our side, inclusive of, on the fee schedule, putting in some sort of note in there to the customer, that if you can't retrieve your car on a particular day, because the company says no, that they call in and we document it on our call-in list.
Don't we have something that we hand them now?
We do, it's a
Yeah,
fee
okay,
schedule.
yeah.
But there's no instructions on the fee,
Gotcha.
it just tells them what they're supposed to be charged.
So I know we-
So I think if we added something to that, hey, if you try and pick up your car on a Sunday and the company says no, call this number,
Right.
and we'll note it in the log. This way on Monday, when they go get their car,
They're not getting
there's
charged.
no guess as to whether they should have or shouldn't have been paid, or who said what, didn't say what.
Right. till
This way,
27, yeah.
we can tighten up things. I personally like to get rid of the 24-hour rule. If your car gets towed, or the exemption to the 24-hour rule, I personally think if your car gets towed, I don't care if it's a Sunday or a Monday, or you get the first 24 hours free. You know,
I'm
just-
good with that, too. I mean,
there's-
you know as well as I do, most of the guys are pretty cooperative.
Yes, some of the feedback, pushback that I've heard, and we're gonna discuss this further, but
Right.
the feeling is, if they don't release a car on Sunday, they're still responsible for the car. They're responsible for keeping it, making sure nothing happens to it. So they feel that they should be entitled to that storage. I don't know if I agree with that or not. And that's just something we can hear them
We'll
out on and
discuss,
listen to what they have to say. I don't think that they're gonna be begging for increases on the fees, because we're in line with all the other towns I've checked.
You did a lot of work getting that.
Yeah, there's loopholes in the law that they're exploring, and I think if we are forced to make some changes, or we decide to make some changes, then maybe we make some changes on our side as well. That's something we can
I
suggest.
remember the meeting last time, everybody agreed. You know.
Well, it was 17 though. We
Yeah.
are a couple of years later. And I gotta be honest with you, I know the fees were set at fuel prices back then, which fuel prices, believe it or not, are cheaper now.
Yeah.
I mean, they were crazy expensive for a while.
Correct.
They're cheaper now, and the prices haven't gone down. But then again, either is my garbage bill, and that gets a fuel surcharge, so.
Yeah, that's
what
right, I
it is,
know.
right? That never went away. But, so we'll give an update to the board when,
All right,
you know, probably in March, I would
I'll
imagine.
see you then.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Chief. Superintendent Delangy. Good evening.
John, you gotta frame this one. This is your first report with your name on it.
I've been doing them since Gail's been,
No, but I mean with your actual name on it.
we got the name right now.
You
so.
got the name right.
So our monthly report for January 2020. On roads, during the month of January, we continue our road patrols throughout the towns. We did cold patching where needed. We spent the month picking up residents' Christmas trees and also did a litter patrol, which produced 250 bags of garbage and numerous tires. We're in the process of replacing all the old no parking signs throughout the town with the new HIP, which is high-intensity grade signs. So for drainage, during the month, we had crews out cleaning ditches along Mount Zion Road, Bailey's Gap, South Road, Willow Tree Road, Lions Lane, Bingham Road, Conklin Hill Road, and Mahoney Road. We also continued cleaning catch basins and pipe ends when needed. We are able to continue using our flail mower to cut back the shoulders of the roadways in both hamlets. Snow and ice on 116, the forecast was for snow flurries with icy spots. We sent trucks out to saw all the roads. And on 118, the forecast was up to 6 inches. That was the day of Mr. Appler's party, which we did receive. We pre-treated the roads and then continued to keep them salted and plow into the following day. On 125, we sent out trucks to preheat all the roads west of Latin Town Road, which we do occasionally because of ice and so fuel, we got 325 gallons of gasoline, diesel 1,239 gallons of diesel.
John,
Did you guys get all this letter? Ant is going to a blacktop company.
Yeah, you told me about that already.
Yes. So I hate to see him go.
Anthony,
Hate to see him go. He's a good kid. You know, you have to go where the money is. And that's what I told him. I said, you know, I can't keep you here. So, but
you didn't even tell me.
no, I know. So we have Mr. Pagano. We're going to do him on a part-time until
Which
Anthony
Pagano?
leaves.
6 months.
Anthony.
The one that works so late?
He doesn't work for Lee no more.
Again, he's out of there again.
It's part-time, so we can't get, it's not full-time.
So, well, we're gonna keep him, he was driving.
Yeah, he
So I'm
was
gonna
for a
keep
while.
him as a part-time, and then when Anthony leaves, we'll keep him on 6 months, which he'll have
Yeah,
already
6 months
used.
probation. that's
He'll already
usually-
really have used a month, so we could probably,
He has all the proper
yes,
licenses.
tomorrow I'm taking him up to Ulster County to do his drug and alcohol screening, so. How old is he?
32. He went to
Yeah,
school.
32.
34.
He worked for Lee Mazzola.
Yeah, for a while.
delivering oil.
And he worked for the local, the Pagano Union, I
Yep,
believe,
the one
in the city.
Yep.
So he has some experience, and, you know, it's hard to find a truck driver today, you know, that can drive, they all say they can drive a truck until you put them behind a stick shift, and
Yeah.
it's a different ballgame, so.
Yeah, at least I think it's automatic, isn't it?
No.
It's still,
no.
so then you're good.
All of these trucks were standard.
Okay.
John, the 250 bags of garbage, were they basically in the back roads?
We did litter patrol on Highland Avenue, Bingham Road, Reservoir Road, Mount Zion Road, Bailey's Gap, all the way up to the end, in Gabarty.
So that's a lot of garbage.
Yes, it is. The guys did a great job, and it looks,
Besides that, you know what's very visible is the brushing on the side of the roads?
I've gotten a lot of
I mean-
compliments on the mowing this year.
That flail
I had a
mower's
problem with one
come out
lady,
good.
but we went and addressed the problem. But
No,
I
but it
always
looks
had the
good.
problem with this
Yeah.
lady.
It was funny, I drove by there.
Looks
this
really
weekend,
good.
And I saw the mower sitting outside, and I said, why they got the mower sitting outside in the winter? And I was like, wait a minute, we're not getting much
That's
of a winter.
that's the greatest thing, because, you know, there's no snow, and you can really cut down and not leave any, because usually if there's a lot of snow, I have to send the guy behind him with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't want to come home and see that on your lawn, so it does a nice job.
Between
Got a
that-
lot of compliments.
Between that and then they did it on Long 9W.
Well,
So
they're
that's-
getting ready,
so
they're
we're
getting
getting-
ready for paving, that's
So
their,
it's getting nice and it looked good. Looks good.
can't wait for that.
They
to
do
happen.
Thanks, John.
litter patrol.
Appreciate it.
That's another story. But they did.
Mr. Maggio,
Chuck and Charlie.
how are you, Charles? Good evening.
Good evening, Charles.
Charles Maggio.
A monthly report for January. Water consumption total 16.3 million gallons, which is a daily usage of 526,000 per day, compared to last month, which is 15.745 million gallons, which is a daily usage of 509,000 per day. And a year ago, we were at 14 million gallons, which is a daily usage of 450,000 per day. Summary for the month, hydrants, we had to rebuild hydrants on Mahoney Road, Old Indian Road, and Milton. Service line, we had to repair service lines on Berry Road, Five Star Drive, and we also inspected a service line on Orchard View Drive. Curb boxes, we repaired curb boxes on Old Post Road. Bills are out. If there's any problems or questions about your bill, feel free to give us a call. Service line inspections 1, closing 6, markouts 20, gallons of gas 200, and the mileage for the month is 1,700.
Thank you, Charles.
John.
Thank you.
We, seems like everything's going pretty smooth this time with
So far,
So far.
the program and everything, right?
yeah.
I talked to Tina today. She says there's very few glitches getting
No,
to where it's...
everything now, since we've gone to 3 billings a year, a lot of big bills have been eliminated, because now you're not going, sometimes you go in 7 months if you didn't notice there's a leak. Now we're doing about 4 months, so people are kind of, we
You
can
catch the
quicker.
leaks.
So the bills aren't that big, and when people don't have big bills, they don't mind.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Okay. Colleen,
First to last. What happened?
town clerk.
Used to be the first. Yeah.
Town Clerk Monthly Report for January 2020. Burn permits, 1 for $50. Conservation, 3 for $3.15. Dog licenses, 28 for $155. Tow licenses, 7 for $17.50. Water services, 1 for $625. Transfer station permits, 28 for $1,560. Punch cards, 37 for $2,345. Marriage licenses, one for $1,750. Building fees, one for $6,586. Fire fees, one for $750. Zumba, two for $800. Accident reports, 11 for $55. Alarm permits, one for $20. Certified copies, 6 for $310. Foil fees, one for $3. Train station fees, one for $300, for a grand total of $15,329.65.
Thanks, Colin.
Any questions for Colleen?
Thanks.
Thank you, Colleen.
Thanks, Colin. Water Quality Management Incorporated, February 10, 2020. For the month of January 2020, both the Marlborough and Milton wastewater treatment plants comply with all speedies requirements. The following are monthly statistics for both plants. Marlborough water waste plant, average flowed 124,000 gallons per day, about 71% of design capacity. Average BOD removals, 99%. Average suspended solids removals, 99%. Permit requires at least 85% removal of both. Milton, average daily flow 29,000 gallons per day, about 53% of design capacity. Average BOD removal is 96%. Average suspended solids removal, 94%. Permit requires at least an 85% removal for both. Overall, both systems are operating normally. There are no major events or changes in the month of January. In order to slow down rust and improve appearance, we have been repainting the metal roof of the Milton treatment plant. A primer is being put down first, while the other final coat will be applied in the spring. If you need any additional information, please feel free to contact us at any time. Thank you, Julian Falco, Water Quality Management, Inc.
So on that roof, I asked the board at the last meeting for an RFP. I called Tony up. He said he'll do it. So
The, one thing I saw, they're leaving the ladder up. They left it up all weekend
I saw that.
on the roof, but that's kind of like inviting. That should
You
kind of
want to
like.
go up? You want to help him
No,
out?
but if I was, if I was like 14 years old and hanging out with, if I was 14 years old and hanging out with my buddies, we'd be walking on the roof. So,
I'll tell him to.
please just, yeah, I mean, I know it's probably a pain in the butt to take it up and down. but
That's
Please
fine.
have them take it down. It just
Not a problem.
looks a little too inviting.
It's a safety issue. I understand. So, Town of Marlborough Dog Control, Andrew McKee, Dog Control Officer. You want to read it in? I'm sorry, I just asked you to read it. Alan, please.
Monthly report, January 1st through January 31st, 2020. Overview, we received a total of 21 calls this month, including 11 calls to service from Marlborough PD, State Police, and Ulster County Sheriff. Responded to 6 active complaints and/or cases in which are now closed or resolved. We currently have 1 open case that has been addressed, but are unresolved. We impounded 1 dog this month. There are 0 dog bites reported this month. We currently have 0 dogs in the kennel. We have 0 cases in the Marlborough Justice Court at this time. We again received an exceptionally high volume of calls this month relating to dogs left out in extreme cold temperatures. End of report.
Thank you, Alan. Town Board, Cindy Hilbert. This is our assessors report. We prepared 3 property tax estimates. We processed 29 real property transfers. We're continuing to work on collecting our new construction and verifying our sales data. We have received approximately 45% of our solar exemption renewals, approximately 62% of our agriculture exemptions, 58% of our town-aged exemptions, and 70% of our nonprofit exemptions. We mailed out our reminder notice on February 2nd, 2020. The filing deadline for this year only for all exemptions in the town is Monday, March the 2nd, 2020. Howard?
Al, before we move, can I ask the board a question if we can? I talked to Cindy about this, and we've been going on 4 years
Data collector?
for data collection. We don't have that part-time data collector anymore. We've been through 4 of them. It just does not seem to be working out. I would request that we ask her to go out and get some estimates from a few local people that do this and see, I'm not to say we're gonna do it, but just to let's get an idea what it would cost to finalize this. I think she's done about 40% already, but you know, we already dropped down, so last year we were at 95%.
95%.
We already, as of today, we dropped down to 85%. This does affect a small portion of the equalization rate, but it does affect it a little. So what I would see is if she could go out and see how much this would cost and see if we want to do it.
What do we
or
have
not.
budgeted for that position? Do we still
It's
have
only
that in the budget?
13,000.
Yeah, we were just doing it an hourly rate on a small
It's an
scale.
hourly rate up to 13,000, but we haven't, obviously, it fills it, and then they leave. and they
So
fill it.
are you suggesting to go out for a professional, somebody that does this
Like an
an
RFP?
RFP?
To see
I
what it would
thought
cost.
the whole point was going this way would save us
It's not
like
getting
thousands
done.
of
We're not getting it
dollars.
done.
It's not
Yeah,
getting done.
I
It's-
agree.
It doesn't
We-
reflect it in that report.
It's just not getting done.
If we go out for an RFP, are they gonna have to do 100% of the town over, or just what's not complete?
Whatever we ask
To
for.
put it
I think
in
whatever
the
we ask for.
RFP is the remainder of the 60%, but I'm sure it'll be quite a bit. So, but we can ask.
I mean, I think it's something that we should look into, because we're just
mean,
never,
You
I
talk-
agree.
You talked to her and that's what she recommended, or?
she did,
Okay.
she did.
She's gonna have to get a couple different,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, of course, I remember if we did it town-wise, if we did everything, was like in the 100,000 range.
Yeah,
So-
But we've already
was back
spent,
the first
how much have we already spent? And,
I know, that's
we're
what I'm saying.
40%.
No, I agree. Well, let's find out.
I mean, I think it's something we should look into, because if we're 85 now, next year we might get down to 75, and it really starts affecting things, so.
So if the board doesn't mind, I'll talk to you first thing in the morning.
Could be outrageous.
It might be a
Hopefully
crazy
she'll have
number,
by next
but
meeting, that's all.
let's
Yeah.
find out. Thanks, Al.
Not a problem.
All right, next is the planning board, meeting January 6th was canceled. And then the meeting on January 21st, they approved the stenographic minutes from 12:16. Meeting was attended by Chris Brand, Manny Couchy, James Garofalo, Cindy Lanzetta, Joe LaFaro, Ben Trapani. On the agenda, first item was John Weed, Weed Orchards, Penny Lane, Milton Sketch Lot Line. The proposed lot line revision was approved by all members in attendance using the town of Marlborough's streamlined process. Next item was Chestnut Petroleum on 9W. The applicant's representative reappeared in several requested modifications to their previously approved site plan, including removal of subsurface sanitary sewer disposal system, New York State DOT entrances on the site, sidewalks, retaining walls, modification of the proprietary petroleum treatment system, square footage of the bio-retention treatment areas, and signage. The board reviewed these proposed changes and made several additional recommendations, which included planting trees on the west side to provide an additional buffer to adjoining property owners, as well as ensuring the applicant will install sidewalks. The applicant will return at a later date. Next item was Griner BSD Realty on Idlewild Road in Marlborough, sketch subdivision lot line. The applicant's representative returned with revised plans to address previous concerns regarding access to the site. Several legal issues need to be addressed, including roadway dedications, cross-utilities access, and maintenance agreements. The inclusion of required notes on the plan should indicate the elimination of water taking usage previously approved in 2001 and potential change in use of existing structure on site. A public hearing will be scheduled for February 18th, 2020. Next item was Frank Dwyer, 203 Ridge Road. Discussion without attorney, engineer, or stenographer. Mr. Dwyer and his family sought assistance on the approval process for opening a bed and breakfast. The board answered several questions with the town code enforcement officer on hand to provide assistance. They will begin the formal approval process in the near future. Next deadline, January 24th. Next meeting, February 3rd. Respectfully submitted, Chris Brand. And that's it.
It's a short one.
James, how was your experience being on the opposite side? Well, we thank you.
James did a good job. Thank you, James. Report of committees, Recreation Committee. We're trying to find a date in March to start the playground up at Chance Park. Haven't gotten a date from the professional guy that does that. He's from Tennessee, so I just texted him again today. And like I said, we paid $114,000 for the equipment, So once that check is checked, cashed in, and we get the canceled check and we get the voucher, then I'll put that in for the, because of the member item from Senator Larkin. Emergency Management Preparedness Committee? No updates. No report. Conservation Advisory Committee, maybe we could talk about this at the next meeting, give them some direction of what we'd like to do, or maybe not. IT Committee, we talked about the servers and the firewalls and the computers. Is there anything else we want to talk about? No. Okay, moving on. Milton Train Station, they met. We discussed to our dissatisfaction that we didn't get the CFA grant, but we are going to apply for it again. And so we're moving forward on that, which includes the pavers in front of the train station. Milton Land and Citizens Committee, we met, right, Al?
Well, we did meet, yeah. We had a pretty good meeting, discussed a lot of stuff. We have a meeting tomorrow, pre-construction meeting.
Yep.
So that should be fairly interesting. Moving forward.
So that's the pre-construction meeting with Arden. We already signed the contract, but that should be interesting to find out when exactly they're going to start and what they're going to do.
Basically said at the meeting, we were talking about fundraising, but we're not going to be able to really plan anything because we don't know construction timetables. So the committee has some ideas. We just don't know when they could be implemented. So.
Understood. Marlborough Hamlet Economic Development Committee, we're going to put something together soon, right, Howard?
Yeah.
Get it out there. I know the twins from Bricks is very interested, and I'm sure there's a new business in town. Maybe we could get new blood involved.
Yeah.
I see Mr. Hughes back there. He wants to get going.
Just two things related to that, Al. One is the trail and
Yep, you want to talk about the trail?
Christian Hill Trail, and we're still, so Tony's done a lot of work in math to map out the trail, proposed trail. We want to get Mr. Carl Beard from the National Park Service to kind of take a look at what we're planning and then decide whether we're going to go for a grant for that piece. And somewhat related to the Economic Development Committee is the other grant we're going after for Historical Cultural Resource Survey. Same thing we went after last year. We're going to revise it this year and scale it down, and we're working on that as well. So those are two.
Anything further on the gateway sign in Marlborough?
No.
Welcome to Marlborough.
That's where we're going to get this economic thing
Yeah.
going, so this way we could actually do something.
I mean,
is
there's
there
a
any,
whole,
like,
there's,
new location where we could put it? Because obviously the one where we were thinking about doesn't seem
Well,
to be
there's
working
a
out.
couple, we would like to put it where the Presbyterian sign is, but they're not giving that up, so. I mean, it's close to a telephone pole and electricity, so that would make a
Any
good,
possibility of putting it like near the cemetery, like in front of the library?
it's kind of,
Corner. You had to build it up.
yeah, yeah. I
There's
don't-
That would be a pretty good spot.
yeah. There's some places we talked about as you're coming down, heading north, just before Old Post Road on the right-hand side, that'd be a good place. I'd try to contact the owner to see if,
I mean, yeah, that would be a good spot.
excuse me?
Presbyterian Church owns the cemetery.
No, we
No,
do not.
we own
Town-
the cemetery.
town-
Why don't we just put it on our own property? That's what I'm saying.
Well, we could.
Why don't we just do it there? It's got nice
Where?
line of sight.
Where?
At the Presbyterian.
Where the Presbyterian Church sign is?
I'm not gonna take their sign.
No, you can go further
up.
south.
For it, or further south.
Put it
Me,
like on the
possibly, it'll be a little tricky. You'd have to
trees
kind of
down.
build it up. It's possible.
You'd have to build it up, there's no
We
doubt.
don't have
There's a
to ask
cliff there.
permission. It's
You'd
our
have to
property.
cut the trees in the
Just
beginning.
cut a couple trees down. I mean, that just, to me, it's just kind
John
of
would have to fill in the hole.
We own it. We maintain it. We own it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but it's pretty rough terrain there. So
Yes,
we'll have to
it
look
drops
at that.
off pretty
So
significantly.
we'll look at it.
Take a look at
Block this with fill.
it. It'd have to look right, too. You don't want to mess up the cemetery.
It's a nice line of sight.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's no trees in the way, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
It's open.
It's open.
Would you consider an electronic sign?
I don't like
No,
Okay.
not
A
there.
regular sign, welcome to Marlborough?
I mean,
Marlborough, put some business
Like a
names
nice
up there.
landscape type, welcome them all.
the electronic sign ought to go at the
Nice
at the
neutral
town
color,
park.
you know what I mean, earthy tone color.
Town park wouldn't be
And
bad.
if you got, some of the businesses wanna buy
Well,
a
you
sign,
have the
them buy a sign.
business, like the one in Milton, as you go on.
Have the businesses buy the signs.
It's a pretty tall sign there.
What's that? It doesn't have to look exactly like the one sign. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, it's a nice,
You want to be on the committee, sign committee?
it's a nice piece, yeah, but it's a nice piece of property, it's got a nice line, line of sight. It's just, we keep going around in circles, it's ours, let's just put it on our property.
I just bring it up because I think this is a good discussion for your committee, Howard.
Well,
Barbara Hamlet Economic Development Committee.
That's,
Maybe
that's
they
what
could-
you, that's
Well,
what I
yeah,
was
definitely. I mean,
suggesting.
I
They
have,
could do it, and maybe the businesses want to chip in, and maybe we could do like we
know what?
did in Milton, where you put their business on the sign too.
possibly, I mean, yeah.
Welcome to Marlborough, and on the bottom.
Yeah. I
Let's
mean,
have the
I'd like to
meeting,
broaden the
and
whole
we'll
discussion
report
for the
back
board.
after the meeting.
There's all kinds of plans, and we need to start implementing some of them.
Anything on the Meet Me in Marlborough?
Well, Meet Me in Marlborough, we had him here last week, last meeting. I did talk to,
BJ?
no, not BJ.
Ms. Clark?
No.
Sheila?
Sheila, yeah. Sheila afterwards, and she called me actually and clarified some of the things that she had been talking about. And she also talked about a sign, and they're very interested in an electronic sign on the, at the town park, which I would be in favor of as well. But, so I think what we need to do is just have better communication with them, which we've been talking about. So they're going to invite somebody from the town board, maybe me, I'm not sure, to their meetings, make sure somebody's there from our board, which we've tried to do in the past, but that's what she would like to do going forward, so.
Well, tell her, just send an email to the supervisor, and I'll distribute it to whoever wants to go.
Yeah.
Can make it.
No, that's kind of what I told her.
Hamlet and Milton Association Committee, Al?
I haven't spoken with Vivian and Stephanie in a while, but knowing what they're up to, they're already starting to plan the spring baskets. They're gonna do all, self-watering this year. That's the last I heard. Anybody didn't know, the last year's hanging planters were self-watering. So if you didn't see Jimmy or, Jerry running around with the, gator all that much, because all they had to do was fill up the ones that were on the sidewalks. But they're gonna replace, supposedly their plan is they're gonna replace all the ones on the sidewalks with self-waterers. So you pour in like 10 gallons, and then they actually collect rainwater.
Okay.
So last year, I think Jimmy said he filled the baskets up when he put them up, and maybe we had a little bit of a dry spell, and he put about 5 gallons in each, and after that, they just took care of themselves. So they're gonna be.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's just something for, I know you guys are always looking to do something in Marlborough.
Yeah, that's great. That sounds
Talk to the
great.
businesses there, you can have them get in touch with me or Viv or Steph, and they'll tell you what planters.
Okay.
They're not that, I mean, they're not as inexpensive.
You don't use the planters that we used to, that you borrowed from what we used to have in Marlborough? You use the same?
The Lions Club ones?
The same, no, they changed those, we used the hangers. No, actually, we had hangers made. I believe it's an all-new basket now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But, like I said, it's something that the people in Marlborough want to look into. It's pretty much set it and forget it.
Yeah.
So,
That's exactly what you
That's
need.
another thing that we could do at the,
yeah, I think they're like about 100, just under $100.
yeah, the economic.
That's another good, that's a
one's
simple
about
one you
just
could do,
under
little things.
Well,
Yeah, I think we have the hangers already, so.
The hangers are still in
I
the
didn't take
park.
the hangers down just because I didn't want people.
There's a lot of hangers still at the park and that shed up on the
We had our own hangers
Oh,
made.
okay.
garage up on the hill in the back. There's a whole bunch of the hangers still.
Okay, Transfer Station Review Committee.
The only thing there is when the weather gets a little warmer, we're gonna look at taking another stab at the tires.
Okay.
Okay.
Tires.
They picked up a lot more for you.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Got some more for you.
yeah.
Let's
So
go
John,
to,
we're gonna need your help. If we can get that same deal again with loading the tractor trailer, we'll need some of your help to.
So the snakes are still sleeping.
So March would be better.
Yeah.
March, towards the-
yeah.
I do it when the snakes are still.
yeah, we picked like one of the hottest days in the year.
Believe it or not, Harry said he didn't, he was picking them up with the excavators. And, I don't think he said he even saw one.
Really?
Which is really weird.
That's rare.
John, would you know, it might be a crazy question, but do they make like a grinding machine for tires?
You know, we went
Because
through
if you did that, then you could grind them up and you'd have, you know, you could fill up a dumpster a lot.
Well, they do,
lot
and I
more.
think it's expensive.
It's expensive.
The other day that somebody made it's a machine, it looks like a log splitter.
Mm-hmm.
They put the tire on the machine, it smashes the rim. It
Well, that's
folds
the
it in.
rim.
The rim falls off the tire,
Okay.
the steel goes somewhere, and the tire.
Yeah, we talked about that too.
And how much does that cost?
I don't know, it's out there, it's out.
But I mean for regular tires that aren't on a rim.
We have a fair amount on the road, too.
Joe Whitaker, right, what was his name, Joe Whitaker or
Charlie
Charlie Whitaker?
Whitaker, yeah.
Charlie had told us that they take tires, you guys look into that?
Yeah,
Because they said that they did it also.
yeah, I don't, it's not cost competitive, it wasn't, we did look into that.
Yeah, we did look into that.
Yeah.
The grinding is, they grind them, and then there's a conveyor with magnets on it to pull the
Pull
steel
the metal out.
Because they gotta take the steel out of it,
Yeah.
then the rubber goes to plate things.
Yeah, that's what they make the bouncing
I
stuff.
don't know, it's probably expensive.
I'm sure you guys went through all
That's
that.
what happens to these tires, once they get trucked out of our, then they go to a place like that.
Bigger tires that's left up there, so you don't get any of that.
No, you don't, no, so. But we're gonna keep
We'll
at
let
it.
the Transfer Station Review Committee take care of
There you go.
recommendation, what's to do. I
Well,
think
that's
that
just-
what
this
you're
is our
doing now is the
recommendation. We've-
best probably
we've
way
been-
and the
and we've-
cheapest way.
We've looked into it, and this is what we've come to, so.
Okay. Item 10, old business, Tomvac rehabilitation update. All the grants are in, just waiting on confirmation and contracts.
So
Well-
I brought up the thing about the lights in the building now.
Okay.
I just wanna, Dave said more than likely, he might donate his services.
Okay.
It's just that we would have to probably buy the fixtures. And again, this is something that we would be using when we when we do the building.
Yeah,
So
so
what
we
am I-
want to
so
make
what-
sure that we get the right ones.
I wanna make sure, so he hasn't met me up there yet, but I wanna see what he's gonna say, how much they would cost to do. But he sounds like he would donate his services.
Yeah, we have some money in the building the building budget, so, yeah.
It'd be one less thing we have to do in,
We just want to make sure they're the right ones, and,
yeah, well, they're gonna be LEDs, and they would be encased.
Yeah.
They did at the,
By the end of this fiscal.
Yeah, we looked at it,
they
they
did, but the
gave us,
cost is, like, if we're gonna rebuild, take the building like we're doing, John, I mean, we probably can have them come in, but for them to put them in,
the same time we did the highway
we're
department.
gonna
building.
redo everything electrically in there anyway, so at the time,
yeah,
we're
we're
gonna put
gutting it
LEDs
all
in
out, John.
ourselves.
It's all new electric, all
And then
new
there's no
fixtures.
cost, but, yeah, we did have them come in just the same time, like Howard said, when they did your building. But, anyway, I just wanna let you know, I'm gonna have them check that.
And thank you, Scott. And we're still continuing with the LWRP.
In other words, we're still waiting on them to
We're
do
waiting
whatever they need to
for
do.
the Department of State in Barbara Kendall. Water district improvements, no report on that. Ice skating rink, I think we decided that we were going to wait.
Hold off. It was funny, I actually was in Dover delivering a truck on Friday, so I finished that up, and there's an old way over the mountain instead of coming back on 44. I said, let me take this way. So I go over, there's a recreational center right on top of the mountain. I didn't catch the name, I went by it, but they had 2 outdoor skating rinks that were puddles. They were just over water.
Yeah.
So I just like shook
That's the
my head
problem.
laughing as I rode by.
That's a pie.
We wouldn't have been able
Yeah.
to get it this
Did you read what Howard sent about that?
Interesting. I didn't get to see any prices, Howard. Did you ever try to track down to see about prices on this?
No, I was hoping you would.
To
be perfectly frank.
I'll actually go back and revisit it,
Yeah.
because that's something that,
It's expensive. If
But
you do
if
it
you-
like this, a room this size is gonna be a lot of money, but,
yeah, but if you have it for 10 to 20 years, it really isn't.
yeah, but,
You know what I mean, as opposed to putting out.
I don't know if you read the whole article, but there were $80,000-$90,000 figures I read,
that's
Yeah,
so,
but
But
that's
that
why
would
I
make-
asked what the size of the
Oh, the size
pavilion
was
is.
30, the pavilion's 30 by 30 by 60, the pavilion. Yeah, it's
So
just-
you could get an estimate.
you can
This
get
is
square footage on
plastic,
that, yeah.
basically, a plastic surface you can skate on.
It's slicker than
They
ice.
just put down panels
Instead of ice,
on the
it's
floor and the
It's
interlock.
slicker than ice, and it actually has a
It's
little bit
called
of cushion.
glice.
oh, cool.
So if you fall, it's not like falling on ice. It's
Put it right on
still
the
falling,
pavilion.
Yeah,
but it's not as hard
softer.
as ice. It's a little, yeah, it has a little
Interesting.
So then you're gonna keep the park open year round.
Want to just leave that on then?
Yeah, you could ice
I think,
skate
Alan, you wanna
year-round.
I
remove
want to
that?
take it off.
You wanna
Yeah, we
remove
We
that?
close the park in October and reopen in March. We're gonna
And I'll
keep the
take
park
your
open
money for
year-round.
the indoor.
We would have to,
to go to the
yeah,
bathroom.
if we did the ice skating rink, which we were gonna do this year, then the park would actually stay open year-round and they would have to be plowed.
Yeah.
And then we were gonna have the lights on a timer until 10 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? So we could do night skating and stuff,
Might
but
have to put up a
Mother Nature
porta
just
john.
didn't agree with us this
We'd
year.
have to discuss if
Why
people
not if
could
we
also
just
rent
put
the
it up
pavilion
on the
for
basketball
parties.
court?
They wanna use the kitchen in the winter,
There's no lights though.
keep the electric on.
Maybe we could get
Water running.
Well, it's gonna cost money, no doubt. It's gonna cost extra money, obviously.
All right, let me bring the meeting back together.
Guys, now, just to bring it up, it was brought up, maybe put it at the basketball court, but I do notice, because I'll go there with my daughter.
They
on the
play
weekends,
basketball.
People are playing basketball in the winter,
Because
so I
of the
don't want to
weather.
take that away from them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, where no one's using the pavilion really in the winter.
All right, would you
And again,
prefer?
It wouldn't have to be plowed like right away.
Yeah, and I think we were talking just on the weekends too, right?
Yeah, it just,
So, an old business, will you prefer to take ice skating rink off or leave it on still?
it's gonna get warmer, so we could
Just leave it on.
Take it off for now, yeah.
So I need a motion to take D off.
I'll make a motion.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. D is gone. Any new business? None being said, I have some correspondence. Okay, permission to use the Clewitt Chance Park from the Marlborough Youth Soccer Club, Spring 2020 Recreational Youth Soccer Program, Saturdays in May and June between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. I checked with Colleen, and the dates are good, right, Colleen?
Yes, sir.
425, 52, 59, 516, 530, and 6/6. And also on Wednesday and Friday nights at 6 p.m. until 7:30 p.m.
Do they use the upper field, Al, do you know?
Lower.
They use both. Yeah, so,
Because we were planning on possibly doing stuff up.
yeah. Right, because the lower round pond soccer field.
Yeah, they always want the lower.
Yeah. And so, Dana Mentzer, the Marlborough United Soccer Club. And of course, she wants to waive the fee, so I need a motion to waive the fee for the Marlborough United Soccer Club.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None being said. Thank you. So we have a resignation here. Dispatcher, Ryan Grieven. The reason for my resignation is to recent appointment as a full-time environmental police officer recruit with the New York State DEP Police Department. That's congratulations. That's great. I'd like to thank Chief Kokoza, Dispatcher Van Amberg, and the Marlborough Town Board for appointing me and giving me an opportunity to serve the town I grew up in. I would like to thank the rest of the Marlborough Police Department for making my time with this agency a memorable one, and Ryan Grieven. Well, best of luck to you, Ryan. Yeah, he is. I also received something from Mark Ryder up in Ulster County. Who's the deputy county exec. I would like to use the space on Monday, 2/24/2020, 10 to 7. We will hold a mobile office hours from 10 to 4, and then Pat Ryan would have a public town hall type meeting from 6 to 7. There's no problem because then at 7 o'clock our meeting starts, so everything will work out. They want to set up some chairs back here and have different organizations from the county come.
24th of this month,
Yeah,
it's our second meeting.
yeah.
Yeah, and they'll be out of here before we get in.
They might be here, but
They could sit there in our meeting, I mean, if there's enough room out there.
Yeah, there's plenty of room back there. Here we have, these guys are right with that, right?
Yeah.
That's great. You know about that, Tom, right? Correspondence we did, and public comments. Any public comment? James, come on up here.
Thank you. I'd like to say that I think it would be a much better idea to publicize the fact that people can drop off the holiday trees at the transfer station rather than wasting the public works people having to pick them off the street, plus the fact that when they pick them off the street, they may end up having tinsel and other stuff on them that you really don't want.
You guys, John,
You do? Okay.
John, do you
Good.
guys chip them as you pick them up?
Everybody doesn't have
Put
a
them
truck.
up there in a pile, and then, when they're all done, we send the chipper up there. Chip them up in about a half hour.
Is there a lot, John? No. A lot of people? Yeah. Thank you, James, for the suggestion.
I'd also like to make some questions about the upcoming resolution dealing with the water connection, which I think is a very good idea, but I was wondering a few things. One is, it's my understanding that you can't have a well hooked up to a public water supply, so they would have to disconnect their well from their house, although they could still use it if they wanted to fill their pool or something like that. But it's my understanding, is that correct, that they can't?
No.
Wouldn't even work.
This is basically also,
Backflow.
Yeah, it's back.
You can do both of them, okay. Okay. I didn't see anything in the resolution which talked about what would happen if somebody decided they didn't want to do it, how you would force them, whether you build them.
that would be your job on the planning board. This is basically for all new developments. So that's what brought it up right now is the chairman, Chris Brand, asked if we could do that because there was a couple issues with people that were actually in the water district but didn't use the water district. And in all fairness, they might have been out of the 100-foot waiver. So, but this
So
is,
this is for new,
yeah,
not a retroactive.
This is going in front of your board.
this is yours,
So
Shane.
you got plenty of time to think about it.
Oh, I appreciate that. No, but it is something that I think is really needed. The final comment that I'd like to make is about the ladder on the building. You were very right, that's very important. I remember many years ago, they had kids skateboarding on the new elementary school roof. I mean, you can't do, you have to be really good about doing that.
Skateboard on that sewer.
Skate up on that roof.
I'm just, like I said, if I
But
was
it-
14 years old and with my friends, we'd be on that roof.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you that that's something that you absolutely cannot allow. Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, James.
What would you go on that roof for?
What's that?
Just so you said you did.
Because we would do it.
Did you know Alan when he was that young? He was a crazy man.
So moving right along. No, I'll tell Tony tomorrow. We're going to do the resolutions right now. Resolution 33 to appoint a part-time police dispatcher. Supervisor Lanzetta proposes the following. Whereas the police committee has interviewed for the position of part-time police dispatcher, and whereas it is recommended of the police committee as well as the chief of police to appoint Marshal J. Belizzi as part-time police dispatcher. Now therefore be resolved that Marshal Belizzi be appointed as part-time police dispatcher effective immediately, and moves for its adoption. Colleen?
Councilman Corcoran?
Yes.
Councilman Molinelli?
Yes, I think we'll have him for a couple of years, because I know he wants to be a police officer, but he's got a lot of stuff, but he's got a lot of things to get through before he's gonna be there, so I think at least we'll have him for a little while. Yeah, which I'm happy with. Yes?
Councilman Koenig?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Supervisor Lanzetta?
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. Resolution number 34 to transfer funds. Supervisor Lanzetta proposes the following, whereas the town board of the town of Marlborough established 2 new reserve funds for highway equipment and police cars, and whereas the town board needs to approve transfer of funds to these reserves, be resolved that the following be transferred. Transfer $210,000 from Highway DA .0915 fund balance to the Highway Heavy Equipment Reserve Fund DA.0230.001. Transfer $40,000 from the General A.0917 fund balance to Police Vehicle Reserve Fund A.0230.003 and moves for its adoption.
Councilman Corcoran?
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli?
Yes.
Councilman Koenig?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Supervisor Lanzetta?
Yes. Resolution 35 to purchase IT equipment. Supervisor Lanzetta proposes the following, whereas the Town of Marlborough IT Committee has met and identified the needs for the town to purchase 2 servers and 2 firewalls, and whereas under the Town Code Purchasing Policy, Section 38-2, quotes were obtained, be it resolved that the town board accepts the recommendation to purchase the following. Dell EMC computers for 2 servers, Technologistic for firewall security, 2 servers from Dell EMC, PowerEdge T440, PE_T44_1241. Unit price is $8,911.12. Quantity of 2. Total price is $17,822.24. 1 Cisco X Security Plus from Technologistics at $795 and 1 at $390. For a total of, that includes, those 2 totals are $1,185.
Well, we need 2 of those. We need 2 of those last ones.
We need 2.
2 of the Cisco A's and 2 of the Cisco's. That's one package for one.
Okay, so we need 2 of them, which is 2.
One's gonna be 90.
So we'll amend the resolutions. That's why I send the resolutions out a little early, so somebody might catch my boo-boos. So somebody do the math for me. So I'm correct on the $17,822. Make a...
$1,590 on the one.
It's 2370.
Yeah.
So I need a amendment to the resolution.
I'll make an amendment that we need 2 Cisco ASA 5506X Security Plus from Techniconic, and we need 2 Cisco Smart SNTC 24/7s from Tectonic, and for a total price of $2,370.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so moved. So the amendment as read. And moves for its adoption. Thank you, gentlemen.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Councilman Corcoran?
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli?
Yes.
Councilman Koenig?
Yes.
Councilman Baker?
Yes.
Supervisor Lanzetta?
Yes. So Resolution 36 is to introduce a local law of the year 2020, amending Chapter 149, Water, to add Section 149-3 of the Town Code entitled Connection to Public Water System Required. So I'm not going to read everything. It's probably self-explanatory.
We just need somebody to,
Excuse me?
we just need people to motion and second for the
Yes,
lines
on the
there.
top there.
Yeah, on the top.
Yeah. Ed?
I'll do the motion.
And then second.
And a second by? Al? Mr. Baker? Okay. So exactly this is what it says. If you're in the district and you're within 100 feet, you have to hook up.
You also got a second
There's
section.
another seconded
right
by
here.
Yep.
Councilman.
That's another resolution.
Yep, and that's for the notice of public hearing. So let's do the first one, and then I'll announce the public hearing.
No,
No, this is within,
no, there's a spot where it
there's a
says,
spot within this
Yeah.
here.
pursuant to multiple
You
home
offered
rule.
the
You offer, so he's got to second
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that has
So
to
let me
have
read
a-
the, so take notice that the town board of Town of Marlborough will hold a public hearing at the Town Hall, 21 Milton Turnpike, Milton, New York, on, when's our next meeting? The 24th?
24th.
Correct.
Yeah.
On the 24th, 2020 at 7 o'clock p.m. on local law number, we don't have a number yet, of the year 2020 and a proposed local law of the Town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending Chapter 149 Water to add a Section 149-3 of the Town Code entitled Connection to Public Water System Required. Take further notice that the copy of the aforesaid proposed law will be available for examination at the office of the clerk of the town of Marlborough at the Town Hall, 21 Milton Turnpike, Milton, New York, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. on all business days between the dates of this notice and the date of the public hearing. Take further notice that all persons interested in citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard on said proposal at the time and place if said. Date, so that would be the 24th. Now,
But Al, just, I don't want to,
that's all right.
we
What's
got to
it?
go back up to this part, because in the middle of this part, there's a second.
But
He offered
it
the
does
following
say that
resolution.
Howard seconded it, so you
So
could, we could,
Councilman,
Howard.
Yeah, we did the first part, so maybe I should go through the
You're making
whole
the
thing.
proposition later.
look,
So,
I
yeah,
just want to go back.
Seconded by
Look,
Howard.
Yeah.
right?
yep,
so that was the first one.
That's the
right,
first
yep,
Eddie did it, Howard seconded.
right.
Within that same one, there's another section.
Yeah, but he just read the notion of public hearing.
Whereas, yeah, I
Somebody
just,
could second that.
yeah,
No,
I'll second that.
there
No,
it
It's the
says
same thing. It's
Okay.
Seconded by Councilman Howard
So-
Baker, who moved.
necessary to hold public hearing.
Yeah.
Somebody seconds it, he just read it.
So much.
Second.
Same.
So I just
Mr.
wanna
Baker
say-
seconded it.
All right,
Yeah.
Keep Baker.
that's all I want to say, because it wasn't,
gotcha. Maybe I should read the whole thing and then put you guys to sleep. So, Colleen?
Okay, let me get to that part now.
now,
Supervisor Lanzetta.
Yes.
Councilman Malinelli.
Yes.
Councilman Corcoran.
yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman Koenig.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, now I'm going to read the whole thing. Just to put you out of your misery. Resolution number 37 to introduce a local law of the year 2020 to amend Section 155-32.2 of the Town Code Solar Energy to repeal Subdivision M, which affected the opt-out from the real property tax exemption provision found within Section 487:2 on the real property tax law, RPTL, for solar farms, wind energy facilities, farm waste energy system, micro hydroelectric energy system, fuel cell electric generation system, micro combined heat and power generation equipment system, and electric and energy storage system. Supervisor Lanzetta, second by Councilman. Come on.
Second, I second.
Introduce the following proposed local law. So basically, this law opts back into where we were in the beginning, which is we can establish a pilot program, and that puts us back where we want to be.
Well, we didn't want to be there. That confuses me.
We didn't want to do it, but what happens, yeah, I explained this once before, but I'll explain it again and Tom could help me out. So what we did was we opt out where you can't have a pilot and there's exemptions. So what we found out is that, oh my goodness, all these people with solar on their roof or on the side of their buildings has to get an exemption. So we give them an exemption, but now the solar farm comes and says, wait a minute, you gave them an exemption, now you got to give me an exemption, and we don't want to do that. So that's the basis of opting back in, so this way we could have a pilot.
Why can't we just make it so that
residential solar systems are exempt.
Because
Nobody else
40 47 doesn't allow it. 47 doesn't allow you to almost like spot zone it.
Yeah, it's like spot zoning, Howard.
Town of Marlborough is gonna do an exemption, but not for you.
So now we are gonna allow pilots?
No, listen, pilots are separate from altogether.
I know, but they have an option of requesting a pilot, which is, I'm sorry,
No,
you can't.
They could request a pilot and you could still decline it. The problem with declining a pilot, and this is my opinion, and it goes both ways. The pilot gives you, as you know, that specific income for those 15 years. All right? The lack of having that number there means that the assessor has to assess that solar farm every year. And what I've come to understand is somewhere in the middle of that pilot, between 7 to 8 years, or no pilot, I'm sorry, between 7 and 8 years, the useful life of that system, there's always a fight between the assessors of the municipalities and the solar companies on what that value is worth.
So it
When you
diminishes.
start and it's worth $3 million, very simple, it's worth $3 million, it was built, it was worth that. A couple of years, you decrease it. The 7th to 8th year, a lot of the municipalities have a problem because the assessor says it's worth 2.2, but the solar farms come back and say it's only worth 1.1. And you end up in a legal battle. And what I've heard from most municipalities, inspectors, and everything else is the solar farmers win almost all the time because they've got the data behind them saying, we've done hundreds of these. And the decrease in value, not only because of the depreciation of the units, but because the technology gets better and the systems that are out there are so much worth so much less that the depreciation depreciates so much faster is in the 7th or 8th year, you're fighting a lawsuit on a losing battle and you lose money because the pilot in the beginning, they're much more apt to give you that money over the long term.
After the last meeting when this was explained, was the last meeting you explained this all to us?
Yeah.
I'm surprised that there's not a depreciation schedule that you can amortize down. Like, there's nothing prepared, like, hey, this is a useful life of 15 years. Here's where, it's like anything else, like a vehicle. They just go on a scale, and then you have basically, you're worth that's your residual, and that's it on the way out. I'm surprised they don't have that schedule for 7 years, and then here's what it's on the way out.
I think maybe over the next 10 years you might get that because of the long term of what is solar, because the solar farms are somewhat new.
Fairly new, yeah.
So they haven't spent that. I don't know if there's a solar
Yeah.
farm that's actually 15 or 20 years old at this point on a large scale, that they could take that number and do it. And then again, what they were explaining to me is that the technology increases so vastly that the depreciation accelerates.
Accelerates it, yeah.
Because of the new systems coming out. So that's where there's always a fight in those middle years.
I think what happens is you're like, in the pilot, you're up front, you're getting a little less. But I think if you average it out through the whole thing, it probably comes out to about the same without having to go through a legal fight in the middle.
And I think
That's
what you're
kinda
doing here by opting out
saying.
is when this year they come for the pilot and next year or 5 years from now, it's a good thing for the town board, you accept it. If this new depreciation schedule over 15 years, 10 years from now are there, and it's a little bit more known, then you just reject the pilot. This gives you an option to either accept or reject the pilot. It's not saying you have to accept it, it's saying you do. But you can't, with the 487, it was explained to me that you can't just say residential's exempt and nobody else is. The way it was,
It's
we were
like,
doing it, everybody was exempt. So this new company who came in, who I actually processed the permit today for the new solar farm, was the first one.
Which one was that?
The Aldridge one, on Milton Turnpike. He went by our fee schedule. It was, again, and it seems like they're okay now.
No, they already got it.
they have a pilot.
Yeah,
They have a pilot between the
I did
school, the
and
town,
everything
and
went through and everything was good. So the building permit, I actually reviewed and did today. It took me a couple of days, but I came in this weekend and did it. But I reviewed it, and our fee schedule said $7,000 for their amperage system. They wrote us a check for $7,500. Wasn't even worried about it. Said, keep the money, do what you got to do with it. So I got a check for $7,500 for that first solar farm, and I'll start doing the reviews on that.
the 7,500 is the,
Building permit fee.
right. We also negotiated a $7,500 bonus for the town of Marlborough
Right.
with
Again,
Mike.
It just seems like, again, and you know better than I, because you've been negotiating it, that in the beginning of these programs, because they're trying to get in, they seem to give a little bit more money, negotiate a little bit better.
Yeah.
So that's why, again, my understanding of these pilots, they're much nicer in the beginning to give you that long-term not than in 7 years when your
All
assessors.
these guys want pilots because you can plan on it. It's, you know, you have a definite number, you know exactly what you're gonna pay.
Easy sets up your business.
Yeah.
As far as your
Right, and again,
That's all.
and I think it sets us up too, because we know what we're getting also. And again, it just seems like we get a little bit
We
more
are,
money
if
up
it's
front.
fair and, you know.
Yes,
there's pros
so,
and cons.
yeah, so basically, the whole scenario came in when a gentleman, once again on the turnpike, wants to put a 3 megawatt. And so he went to see Tom, and then he came to see me, and he said, listen, not for nothing. If you opted out, I see that, and there's an exemption, but you can't deny me an exemption, because then it's, you know, it's not legal actually to do that. So that's why, when we explained two weeks ago, Howard, that we wanted to opt back in, so this way we have the option to do a
Yes, I know,
pilot.
but- So, yes.
You
we
can't
thought
have
we-
it
we
both
thought we did
ways,
the right
that-
thing the first time. We had our lawyer put it together. We got it wrong. So I
Yeah.
just want to make sure we got it right this time.
Yeah, this,
So, has Cindy reviewed this in detail?
our lawyers looked at it, and we've been talking about it, and she agrees that we got to opt it back in to get this whole thing settled, and especially with a lot of people that are not doing the exemption for their system. If we get this done before March, I think she says they're good. So everything still, it'll be in the time frame where legally we're okay.
In other words, those 50 or plus % of people that haven't turned in their exemption will be free of having to do
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, we check with Cindy on all these matters because she's the expert. So that's what that's all about. And so we have a public hearing on that also, and that'll be on the 24th, and we're advertised for that.
I second, there's another section.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you have to go in there, I already wrote you in.
So Councilman Corcoran moved on adoption, and so, well, I think we're all set now. Any questions from the board? No. Okay. And notice of the public hearing, we're all good with that. Could you poll the board, please?
Yes. Supervisor Lanzetta,
Yes.
Councilman Molinelli,
Yes.
Councilman Corcoran,
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes.
Councilman Koenig.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. We got a blank screen. What does that mean? Alan?
Want to bring something
I gotta
up,
get a picture, Alan.
wonder if we can make a motion to adjourn. I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. So moved. Thank you.